Hi, hello, Wombly here again. And what if I told you that this huge 12 color vase that I can't even fit into the frame, the design Chinese style vase by SilvaCore Tech, repainted in 12 colors using only 4 filaments, printed in just a day and a half using 4 filaments on the Snapmaker U1. Now, it's true, and it's not actually using any new slicer fork. This is using a feature that's been sleeping in the FullSpectrum community fork, going way back to the very beginning, put in there by Ratdoux himself. Now, I have only recently been testing this myself for the past few months. Snapmaker did invite me to come down and share about this at OpenSauce. Hashtag, again, not sponsored because disclaimer as usual, nothing you're seeing here is sponsored or a promotion. All thoughts and opinions are my own. I'm just a nerd excited to share about this stuff should you guys find it useful. But please do say hello down below if I saw you in San Mateo. Now, if you don't know what full spectrum color mixing is, I do suggest hopping back one video that goes into the full spectrum basics. You can also check out my detailed guest blog post below with a getting started, so check that out later if you want. But today we are going a step further with full spectrum, and to just make sure I don't bury the lead, what we are looking at is incredible, but an experimental feature still kind of being refined for the merge of the community fork, I think, into Snapmaker Orca. So we're going to hold on to that and talk about that later. To start with, what am I on about? Well, as we talked about last time, full spectrum works like this, where this red and green in this little test block I printed is actually composed of those mixtures of alternating layers, right? Magenta yellow to make the red, and 1-to-1 mixture of yellow to cyan to make the green. However, one of the main criticisms is to get really good results, you got to make the layers really thin. That's how the whole thing works. So that's kind of a bummer, right? For example, look at all these extra passes I have to make just to do a solid block of cyan around it. So Raddoux's answer to this was something that he originally called Local Z in the community fork, as it's still called now, and which appears to be rebranded to Subdivide Mix Layer in Snapmaker Orca. And the way this works is, for example, I can print at 0.24 millimeter overall layer height. And so if I were to look at the microscopic level again, my cyan layers, I can just do a single pass of the nozzle to get my thick layers of just primary colors. When I get to a mixed layer or a mixed color, it's subdivided. So it just once goes by and makes a little thin pass of yellow, and then it comes back later to fill in the rest with the magenta so that I get my entire color stack within that macroscopic 0.24 millimeter layer. It's that simple. And in full spectrum, you can actually define colors this way if you enable Subdivide Mix Layer. You may need full domain depending on if you're painting it or assigning colors by parts. But this is how it works. And if you just look at these two blocks, it should be pretty obvious there's a lot more passes of the nozzle happening on the left. Probably a few more tool changes. And versus the one on the right, where instead of having to even make multiple passes to get that red color out of 3 layers, I only had to make 2 passes in the case on the right. So one of the major advantages here is if I'm doing a really big print, like a vase for example, this can speed up our prints by a lot. But it's all not really worth anything depending on how the colors turn out, right? And so I had shown at the fair this original palette here. This was the one printed using very thin layers, and the one on the right is the gigantic color palette printed using Subdivide Mix Layer. If you can tell the difference in colors, then you have a keener eye than I do. And just to show that we're not fooling around here, I can also zoom in so you can see this one on the left. I don't know how well the layer lines are showing through, but it's extremely smooth. Versus this one on the right, you can actually see the layer lines because that is printed with 3 times thicker layers. The layers are just stacked to make the different colors. Okay, so now that we have a set of colors kind of picked out, let us set aside childish things and take a look at what we can do with it. And so that takes us to this kind of maybe dramatic example. This is, again, the Chinese style vase by the artist SilvaCore Tech. Speaking with them in Snapmaker, I believe this model, as I understand it, is only available from the Snapmaker Model Library, so I don't have a link for you if you want to try this for yourself. You'll have to check it out from the Snapmaker Model Library, which you can currently find as of this posting in the homepage of Snapmaker Orca Slicer. It's a really beautiful print. It is typically only 4 colors, so this whole mosaic is just 1 color, and I wanted to dress it up. So I started with one of my test palettes and just kind of looked to see, okay, well now I can see what it really looks like with a nice purple, a bluish, a reddish, various shades of green and orange, and I took those to paint my vase in the slicer. I also, for the sake of demonstration, blew this up almost 150%. So mine is 230 millimeters tall. That's about 9 inches, quite a bit bigger than the original model. And again, I just went in and colored the various parts of the surface. This was actually a really fun one to paint. I'm guessing that this bird is the Chinese fenghuang, a bird of legend, meant to be a very colorful bird, and so tried to do that in contrast to the colors of the flowers. Not much of an artist, but I hope y'all can appreciate the coloring job at least. So what are the specs on this vase? Printing this in its original form. Now I am using slightly corrected numbers from what I showed in OpenSauce because I did slow this down a little bit for just to try to make sure the quality was nice since I was taking the time to print something so large. I did find some mistakes in how I had sliced it, so I had resliced this, confirmed the print time numbers, but to print this model at this size using 0.24 millimeter layers in the original 4 colors using thick layers, this print would take about 24 hours. If I were to take this and go down to 0.08 millimeter layers so that the whole vase is printed very fine, then it blows up to 75.5 hours, which, okay, I got time for that. But then if I instead switch over to using the same 0.24 millimeter layer height settings, but turn on Subdivide Mix Layer to generate my colors, then it drops back to 35 hours. So we're talking, was that less than a 50% increase in time to triple the number of colors available, and I only need 4 rolls of filament to do this. And I just think that this is very, very cool. I will show the prime tower. We can make a little comment about that too. So this is the SML tower. Now, there are some interesting details about how prime towers have to work when you're doing, these thick layers with the fine layers in between. So you do find that the prime tower is a bit thicker in order to support Subdivide Mix Layer. To be fair, if you go to basic full spectrum slicing, you'll also find your prime tower gets thicker. The reason there is a little different. If you do very thin layers at a constant prime volume, then to get the same volume per layer, it needs a bigger area, and that stacks up into also a very thick prime tower. So there's not any huge savings currently in terms of what you get for a prime tower, but I still find it quite manageable. So this prime tower in my example was something like 100 grams for what turned out for me to be an 800 gram vase. Now there is another advantage to Subdivide Mix Layer beyond just the print speed. For that, let's go back and look at this print here again. You might notice that for Subdivide Mix Layer, I just kind of arbitrarily chose 2:1 ratio, 1:1 ratio. Now, that's kind of required when you're doing discrete layering, as in the basic full spectrum type slicing. Here you can see that if I wanted to instead have like a 3:1 blend of magenta to yellow, I would need to occupy another layer with magenta, so the spacing between my yellow layers would get wider, and that gives rise to more visible color blending. Whereas in the Subdivide Mix Layer case, I can actually get better color resolution in the same layer height without any additional penalty, because I have a little bit more of a continuum in how much I can blend here. So that came up in what was my very first print that I did many months ago, where I was kind of trying to compare these little color dots here. And probably better if I just cut to some zoom in here. So with a closer look, these colored dots were actually a series of red and cyan that I was mixing with yellow. The two in the middle were actually 3-to-1 blends. So if we zoom in on that light orange dot, for example, and look at it in the slicer preview, you can see the effect. Basic FullSpectrum has that thicker color stack with red lines now almost 1/3 of a millimeter apart, whereas SML on the right is keeping those colors packed into that 0.2 millimeter layer height. And the result is that if you look real closely, the stripes are just starting to appear in those 3-to-1 blends if you use basic FullSpectrum, versus if you were using SML, where you can see basically just the layer lines. Now, to be honest, without top slopes, these stripes on vertical walls are actually pretty hard to see with the naked eye, but the effect is there. And again, SML is limited more by your fine Z steps and extrusion control than it is by layer height, so this is mostly good news. Summing up, the good and the bad here: normal slicing and SML prefer thicker layers for speed, whereas FullSpectrum wants thin layers always. For the sake of comparison, we'll just stick to 0.08 and 0.24 to have nice round numbers, and the print time for SML is much more optimized, though again, the gains still kind of depend how many layers have mixed colors. If you're mixing on every layer, it can still up to double your print time, but that is still, as you can see, much faster than doing the whole thing using basic FullSpectrum. The color depth can be greatly improved too, though. So if we considered blends just in where you're trying to keep visible striping to a minimum, then it kind of depends how many unique Z steps you think you can pack into an SML layer, how many colors you're actually using in each layer, but we are talking about a big boost in color depth. And the main drawback would still be the need for more priming. So the SML tower does need to be thicker in order to do proper wipe tower scheduling. Now, I don't know how much smaller that can get with optimization, but it seems like it's still always less than or equal to what you would get just using thin layers. So overall, this is a pretty big win. Now, it is all very model dependent, but SML can help a lot if your print is mostly a primary color and you're just adding some secondaries to it. But it is still a great boost otherwise, being, at least 1/3 faster than regular FullSpectrum. Now, speaking of speed, since someone's surely already left a comment about it, I'd be remiss not to talk about Sentient Stardust's ImageMap fork of Orca Slicer. Now, I don't want to rehash it here because YGK 3D did us all a great service with an awesome video on this that you can find in the links below. I really, really recommend you check this one out because it's absolutely incredible. Now, my own takeaways here from that video were, this is a whole other beast. For one, this uses XY modulation of the walls to modulate the color, while it's cycling between the 4 colors layer by layer. For best results, a slightly opaque filament is actually better a little bit than slightly translucent, depending which mode you use. And to make the most of it, they have actually added a image mapping tool to help you color models automatically, which is great, and has this color map calibration add-on. So this thing is really turning into kind of a painting suite, right? It's a little bit more than just the slicer. And this is also a much faster way to do color printing, but it naturally comes with different print artifacts and trade-offs. So again, this is an incredible package of work. You really got to go check out YGK3D's video to kind of appreciate the magic going on there. But for the sake of comparison on speed, I did take a crack at printing a 75mm cube of my own. This was using SML. It's similar to the one YGK3D showed. Now, I don't have a cool surface texture mapping tool like Stardust, so instead I just quickly modeled a solidly spiral cut cube in 12 colors. So this has more inner perimeters than the other one, and that'll definitely affect print time. Taking a look at our cube, and given this was modeled and printed quite differently, the judgment here, it's hard to make a direct comparison, but the colors on all sides are reasonable, no obvious artifacts. You can even kind of go tops to bottom, side to side. And things all look pretty good. As for that print time, SML is again slower than a non-FullSpectrum print, but much faster than brute force FullSpectrum, and it's actually not that far off from the ImageMap example of the same size and approximate features, but ImageMap did have that edge for providing help doing the really cool fancy painting. And options are good, right? The labyrinth of color printing continues to grow, and I'm at least encouraged to see some players in this space that work in and with the community to bring the best ideas together. Because back to FullSpectrum and the Snapmaker Orca beta, this video wasn't quite a tutorial or on SML or Local Z. In testing, I see Snapmaker seems to be slowly exposing features from the community fork. There's places I needed to enable switches or change limits in my 3MF files using the community version, but then found they had the same effect in Snorka. So the full machinery is in there, and I guess Snapmaker and Ratdoux are cleaning things up for everybody in the open beta for Snapmaker Orca, and that's probably for the best. I can confirm various little sticking points seem to be getting worked out. So for now, maybe join the beta feedback program on the Snapmaker forum, try some things for yourself and help shape the future, because I think just being able to print a giant 12-color vase in a day and a half using just simple painting is already pretty darn cool, and I cannot wait to see how the rest of this stuff continues to unfold. So whatever it looks like, I will see you there, and in the meantime, thank you for watching.